hard thing for a newer in the industry too is networking. Mm-hmm. And I'll be the first one to say I'm not great at networking. So to have something like this be a great foot in the door and meet some people and meet some, at, bigger breweries and good connections, it was well worth it and a lot of fun for everybody.
You are listening to the Capital Craft Podcast, brought to you by the San Diego Brewers Guild. I am your host, Eric Fowler.
And I'm Jeff Fox from Beer Media Co.
And I am Rob Vetere with Bay City Brewing.
Awesome. We appreciate you sitting down with us today, Rob. I'm really excited because yourself and Bay City, the whole team there, has been extremely active in the Guild, especially over the last year. I feel like we've spent a lot of time together on different things, most notably Pucks and Pints, which was a really cool event. But before we dive into kind of your relationship with the Guild and craft beer in general, maybe give listeners an overview of who you are, who the brewery is, and just a little bit about yourself.
Sure. Well, first of all, thanks for having me. And I will say, working with the Brewers Guild this year has been great for us. Like personally too, I've met a lot of great industry people through through just some events, meetings. But so we're Bay City Brewing, not brewed in the Bay Area. We are San Diego. We're brewed between the bays. We have brew facility on Hancock Street in Point Loma, so right behind the sports arena. Probably seen it off of the 8. And we also have a tasting room in East Village on 8th and Market, so right by Petco Park. So that one is, it's a tasting room at street level. Then that one has a rooftop bar, kitchen, full liquor license. So if you're bringing your friends that aren't all into beer or they've had too many beers and it's time to tone it down, we have booze and wine there as well.
Awesome. Yeah, I remember. I mean, when was the brewery founded?
Initially, so they started at Point Loma location in 2015. So we're coming up on 10 years, which is we're pretty excited, about that, and we're looking to, release an anniversary beer at the end of the year. But I think like a lot of places, COVID stung a little bit, and we had to shut down and minimize production. And so I came aboard right after COVID as part of the relaunch to get the tasting rooms going, ramp up production, get the sales team together, and just really get us back in stride. And we're fortunate enough that our partners were very willing to, invest in the future of Bay City. And we have an amazing brewer in Austin Pinder that, he's put together some really great beers. Yeah.
So you missed the fun times, the 2015 to 2020.
Yeah.
Everybody was just only growing.
The golden era.
The gilded era.
The golden era, yes, exactly.
Craft brewery in San Diego.
You came in and you have to actually run a business.
For sure. Yeah.
That's great. Well, it's a pleasure. This is actually, I think, maybe our first time meeting. So I'm getting to hear a little bit more about, what like your involvement with the brewery, with the guild, all this for the first time. So it's really exciting for me. But So what was that experience like, kind of coming in right after that era?
Well, it was tricky. I've been in hospitality for 25 years. So I came up through nightclubs, bars, restaurants, so all in operations. So brewery side of it is obviously, you're parallel to it, but you're definitely different. And working through COVID at restaurants, I will say, was very challenging. I was downtown, I was in the gas lamp, and it was exhausting. So I think it kind of, got me to want to move on and take the next step in my career. And then getting to the brewery side of it, it worked out well because I have opened restaurants and bars before. So it's, you kind of have the same outline, the same foundation. It's just now incorporating that into the brewery industry. We're opening a tasting room. So we needed to get a kitchen up and running. We needed to get staffing going. We needed to look at what was the San Diego market looking like as in a post-COVID world, even looking at Gaslamp. And we're in East Village, and I don't know if people remember, like the pre-COVID East Village was really starting to boom. And then you just see it shrink afterwards. And even now, you're at 4th, 5th, 6th downtown are getting a lot of the action. And we're on 8th, and that couple blocks is tricky. And we've done our best to just, really embrace the community, really get out there, and offer our product. And then it became, all right, we had 10 or 15 accounts that stuck with us that we were doing minimal production, and it was bringing on a sales team and starting with our first sales rep, Beth, and now she's our sales manager, and she crushes it. And we've had a history of working restaurants together, and a lot of resources to get in front of, and then it becomes, hey, you use your resources and you can get them the beer, and they'll do you that initial favor. But if the beer doesn't sell, there's only so much they're willing to do. So that became challenging, and there was the growth there, and then getting the Point Loma tasting room up and running again. And then it just becomes a growth. It's how do you continue to grow?
Yeah, and there is a lot of parallels to just like the restaurant hospitality side. I mean, there's a lot of literal parallels in the sense that you're still running that, but you're also inheriting and taking on like real manufacturing, right? Yep. And it's very similar on paper to a kitchen in the sense that, you have your ins and outs and you figure out what your cogs are and your goals are in between there and have to forecast, but the volume is a lot different. Whereas a kitchen, you can kind of ebb and flow a little bit easier in terms of staffing and, what food you're bringing into prep for the day. But a brewery, you are going to make a lot more than you can sell through your own venues. Yeah. So has that been like an interesting challenge for yourself and the company and brewery as a whole?
Absolutely. I think it's Austin does an amazing job of we try and be very analytical, like look at reports and past trends to do production goals, and we meet constantly about what is our run through, what are we actually selling, instead of, this has always been my thing with kitchens, is everyone, or even bars, everyone has an idea in their head of what they're selling, but run reports to see what you're actually selling.
Your gut's like 60% right.
Right, exactly. So what we found is we do it by numbers, and we've gotten stung. We have run shortages, and it's just out of sheer overselling, which again I think is a good problem to have, better than dumping beer. Yeah. And then we're also constantly, making sure that everything we have is fresh, and we're swapping out beers when they go out of code, and then we're dumping beers when they are out of code. So it is very tough to kind of be like a prognosticator. Think of it like
it's like three different types of businesses, right? Yeah. You're in hospitality, which is a strong suit, but you're in distribution, which is a different type of person and experience, and then you're in manufacturing too.
And running the same. So now you're looking at cost of goods of and everyone deals with the ingredients of. It's a lot of upfront costs. How do you navigate where we also look at every penny counts? You start looking at what your can lids are, what your cans are, your labels, all that, and you say, okay, can we do a bulk buy to drop this down? Shipping to me is the biggest thing that drives me nuts. So we try and bulk buy for looking at those shipping costs to keep those down. But again, you got to be able to front cash, and that's very tricky too on money that hasn't come in yet,
and won't for months,
right? And it took us a long time too to get an SOP together of even past accounts receivable, like where you're knocking on the doors to get money, and it's challenging, but that's work. That's what the job is.
And you just if you're paying for your ingredients a month before you receive them, and then it's a month to brew the beer, and then it hits the distributor, and that's 2 to 4 weeks, and then they're net 30.
You're right, exactly.
So you're 3-4 months,
and that's kind of where the tasting rooms come into play of a constant cash flow, at least, where you have you're generating revenue, and that can help. Still not enough.
Well, enough about the fun part of brewing, but the real fun part, is, and what I've enjoyed in getting to know you and the team a lot more, is working with Pucks and Pints. So Pucks and Pints, for anybody listening that doesn't know, is an annual event that's put on by, supported by the Guild, but put on by a really great group of industry members, and it's a Brewers hockey game, and we partner with the goals, and there's a really sloppy fun game on the ice, and you had the pleasure of playing this year, which
was a lot of fun.
Is awesome, followed by a beer festival, and then followed even further by a goals game. But what was your experience on that? And I know it was hosted at Modern Times for the last couple of years, and they closed down that facility. So the group outreached to you, and maybe kind of talk through what that was like for you.
Yeah, they kind of cold called us. They're looking for spaces that fit into, we're adjacent to the sports arenas, so we had a parking lot. So they just reached out, and we had participated. We poured in one a few years ago, so I was familiar with the event, but not to the extent of the event and to the actual organization of the event. These guys did an amazing job in getting to work with Todd, Ryan, Teddy, Charlie. Like these guys have a great system down, and they're going to great charities. And I had a very enjoyable time working with them, and we just put on a very value added also event.
Huge.
It was. I think it was a $65 ticket, which got you
lunch.
The Phil's barbecue was there. There was and amazing breweries showed up. There was a game that you could watch, some brewers play, and it was a blast to play on the ice. And there's some good players too, so it gets competitive, but all in like good fun because it's your peers and you get to know a lot of these guys. And then there's the goals ticket at the end. So overall, I'm very happy that we were able to work together, and then again to strengthen the relationship with the Brewers Guild as well. Was great. Like to work with you too, Eric, it was awesome.
I'm always surprised at how many brewers know how to play hockey.
In San Diego. They came out of the woodworks, and I was like, oh, all right.
I know it's always such a succcessable event, and I'm just sitting here like in San Diego, like out of all of the places, San Diego, and it just always cracks me up. But I've always seen I haven't been to one. I need to get out there, but like it's always I see the pictures. It looks like everyone's having a blast. Everyone talks so highly about the event.
Yeah, it was the highest attendance that the event's seen. It was almost 400 people. And it raised about $30,000 for nonprofits, which is crazy. But a big part of that, which I think is worth recognizing, is because Bay City stepped up and donated space. Like the whole team was out there working. Your cold box was open for storage, and like there's so many resources that everybody donated. Phil's donates all of the catering for the day, and in return donates to their nonprofit of choice. But everybody steps up and donates their time and resources, and it's pretty amazing.
It was great. I'm so glad to be a part of it, and I mean, hopefully we're a part of it next year too. And I'm glad to work with those guys and host, give our space up. So it was a lot of fun, and I'm very glad for. A hard thing for a newer in the industry too is networking. And I'll be the first one to say I'm not great at networking. So to have something like this be a great foot in the door and meet some people and meet some, at, bigger breweries and good connections, it was well worth it and a lot of fun for everybody.
I'm someone who's struggled with networking too, like my entire life. I'm a very avid member of active member in the Chamber of Commerce and the Brewers Guild now and all of this. But it was like, I think those events where you're not talking about business, where you're talking about like a shared interest are always the the easiest ones to connect with people on a personal level.
Absolutely.
And then as soon as you kind of create those initial relationships, then it's just going and seeing your friends, right? And that makes networking, I feel like, a little bit less intimidating. Is that that whole, okay, now I've met these people, I've seen them a couple times, it's easy to go up and talk to them and just catch up, just catching up with friends. You find
your common interests that are even outside of,
and you got now you got that hockey thing to talk about every time And
I still play in leagues, and I'll see these guys. I play against them still now, and it's just cool, to see a bunch of guys that I met through there, through the game, playing in our beer leagues.
Now is a harder time than ever for breweries to navigate the rapidly changing market, but Beer Media Co. is here to help. As a proud partner of the San Diego Brewers Guild, we are a full-service digital marketing and content creation company that works with San Diego breweries to reach new customers and create amazing engagement for their websites and social media accounts. If you are a small brewery owner trying to figure out the whole social media thing, or a larger brewery looking to up their engagement, send us a message at info@beermedia.co, because we know SD Beer.
Are you passionate about the craft brewing industry? Join the community that's shaping the future of beer in San Diego by becoming a professional or affiliate member of the San Diego Brewers Guild today. Unlock exclusive benefits, including access to industry events, educational resources, and networking opportunities. Elevate your craft, expand your network, and make a difference in the thriving craft beer scene in San Diego. Visit sdbeer.com for more information and to take the next steps towards becoming the heartbeat of craft beer. Join the Capital of Craft podcast in the San Diego Brewers Guild, where passion meets discussion and education. San Diego Brewers Guild, celebrating craft beer in San Diego since 1997. Yeah, and the Guild's always looking for, other opportunities that are kind of tertiary around beer and lifestyle to kind of get involved in as well. Like that event in particular is interesting because it's a very heavily beer-focused event. I mean, half of the day is a beer festival, and there was 15, 20 breweries and as much beer as anybody can drink.
Yeah.
But beer is like one of the last things we spoke about the entire time. You know? It's like at the end, like, hey, do we have enough beer for everybody? We should probably write that down, because the event is, beer is the catalyst for everything else. The community is number one, and then the hockey game's number two, and then beer, and then all the other logistics and stuff. What did something I get asked a lot is about like time commitment. We say you get out of life and the Guild as much as you put in. What did the involvement look like from a time commitment, from your side? Because you were heavily involved being the host brewery, but some people have secondary roles that are a little bit less involved.
I will say the team did a lot of the heavy lifting, but I was, we met once or twice a month, a little bit more towards the end to dial everything in. And then there was just, like everything, you have your punch lists that what needs to be done to make sure you're compliant. So you're dealing with landlords, you're dealing with insurance, you're dealing with ABC, just to make sure that everything's run smooth. So there was, some, paperwork, logistical stuff, but it was nothing that was unenjoyable or overbearing. I enjoyed every minute of it, and we had our landlord was great about it too, and the tenants in our parking lot, because that was the biggest, nerve-wracking. As we're setting up, and you saw it, Eric, you see a car parked there, and we have a beer fest in 3 hours. I hope that car is not here. But everyone was great, and it worked out, and it was just everyone's. You work hard initially, and then everything comes to fruition towards the end.
Yeah, and I think the thing that you said, I'd be happy to do it again speaks volumes as well. Is like feels like even though there was some work to do it, it wasn't overbearing, and that it was valuable and worth taking part in.
I think there's a lot harder and more strenuous, charitable jobs out there. So as far as these go for charitable work, this was very enjoyable.
Yeah, what do you think the benefit was and like the value add for Bay City, investing so much into an event like this?
I think our biggest challenge has been exposure. And as a smaller, independent brewery, we're constantly, facing how do you get your name out there? We did yesterday, we did a golf tournament. We did the Pacers golf tournament, and we still get the where are you guys located? And it's just, we're so much better now than we were initially of, everyone knowing about us, hearing about us. Where can we find you? Where, I like your beer, but. So that was great to be able to now have all these, 400 beer-centric people see our facility, know that we're so close to sports arena, so a great place to pregame for the Gulls, and just get our name out there. And we had our beer. Our sales team volunteered, so they were all there. So again, it became, we got a couple of leads out of it to be able to say, hey, we can get you XYZ. So I think that was great, and that's what we continue to work on is just exposure.
Yeah, and I recommend anybody that has a venue that wants to host anything or wants to get involved on an individual level to reach out, because sometimes it takes just raising your hand to kind of we probably should use that one. I didn't think about the accessibility of.
And that was great when we hosted a meeting at the brewery too. So again, got even more eyes that weren't part of that hockey community but beer community. And we hosted a meeting at the brewery, got, a lot of industry people got to try our beer. And again, exposure. So, and it was great to be a part of that.
And I'll also applaud you on your responsiveness. Helps with a lot of that. Before we had a real relationship, you were one of the people that would respond pretty quickly through email or calls or texts about small stuff.
Yeah.
But it makes a big difference, because when there's a lot of moving pieces, generally we default to, whoever we know is going to be involved and be there, and not, let an opportunity go past them. They're going to take advantage of it and contribute. So I definitely think it's something to recognize. What do you want to see out of your involvement with the craft beer community? And that's not just, brewery to brewery, but, guests and consumers and beer drinkers in Bay City over the next couple of years. What do you guys have coming up?
We started this year. We have our core brands, but what we started this year was putting together about a quarterly special release calendar. So what we're trying to do is a little more R&D and see what is out there, get a little more, we're also noticing a lot of accounts like to do the rotators, a lot of the more beer accounts. So we've done we actually just did a collab with Barley and Sword. So trying to get more involved with some of the other breweries in town and just see how we can, get good beer into people's hands and get people into the, again, it also becomes asses in the seats. How do you, come down to the tasting rooms, come down to the breweries. We run daily specials where we have, a good environment for people. And it is seeing what the trends are and trying to stay ahead of the trends. And it is a tricky market. I think everybody knows of, what people are drinking now. So trying to keep up with that as we grow and still maintain our core beers and our core accounts, finding a way to offer something for everybody.
That's always the struggle.
Yeah. Innovate, but not for innovation's sake, right?
Right.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Cool. Well, we appreciate you coming on today. Tell everybody listening where they can find out more about Bay City, and if they want to, come in and say hi.
Yeah, absolutely. So, tasting room in Point Loma is on Hancock Street. So that's open. We're Thursday through starting June 1st. We'll be open on Sundays. So Thursday through Sunday, we're going to look to do some activations there, try and get some live music going, and then we're also if you look at spaces, we can host events there too. We have Relay for Life is coming in on the 1st, so we do some charitable stuff. We have a space for you. Or our tasting room downtown on 8th and Market. Going to a Padres game, stop in. We do happy hour during the week. We got some food specials. And then website, BayCityBrewingCo.com. Instagram, all that stuff. And every social you could find us.
Yeah.
And, we try and keep you updated with what's going on around the brewery.
Well, it sounds like whether you're a Padres fan or a Gulls fan, you can stop by.
You covered.
Yeah, you got them covered. Well, well, thank you for listening to the Capital of Craft podcast. If you like what you heard, make sure you subscribe and follow us on Instagram at SD Brewers, and we hope to see you on the next one.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Thank you, guys.